Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for our monthly Why You Know Review segment, where I go into a series of albums that I didn't get a chance to formally review over the past month. I deliver these opinions to you in a series of hot, short takes, in a bunch of micro-sized videos, all of which landed on Twitter before this at the needle drop. Get that beautiful, beautiful Twitter tag up there. Follow me over there if you get a chance. And yeah. That's it. Info on all of the records I'm talking about in this video down below. And let's get into the gauntlet. You know, if you go back into Cloud Nothing's discography, you'll find pretty easily that the band has never had a set style, a set sound, but then all of a sudden they blew up with this great Attack on Memory album. I even loved this record. But immediately after this album, it's like the band just tossed out the narrative, they tossed out the sound, they tossed out pretty much everything that attracted fans to the band that blew them up in the first place. And now this new record is just kind of further instance of that, further proof of that, as they just kind of deliver all this by-the-numbers indie rock with a little bit of a pop-punk flair to it. It's just not that distinct, it's just not that memorable, and I wish the band would just sit on an idea and hone it and perfect it to the point where they can make it distinct, make it sound unique, maybe give it a little bit of a perspective that only they could, but instead they're just kind of I don't know, hopping from idea to idea, sounding really non-committal on everything, and I don't know, just very wishy-washy. My God. From the moment I heard this guy on Travis Scott's last record, I knew, man, we were in for something special if he ever dropped an album. This thing, man, it's ordinary, painfully dumb lyrics, ordinary instrumentals that have kind of a very atmospheric, kind of moody, dark trap flavor to them, but they're really skeletal. Half of them sound like demos, and his vocals are so passionless and flat and average. They're so average in every way, shape, and form. And the vocal effects they put on his voice throughout this album leave him sounding like just I don't know, a cold, emotionless robot. So, what is the appeal of this album? Is it that it's so generic you almost can't describe it? Is it that it's so painfully cliche that there's absolutely nothing special about it? Is it that you can't keep yourself from laughing because he just drops one corny bar after another? Enlighten me, please. Educate me, because if there's something good about this album, I would love to know. Young Dolph definitely has some catchy refrains on this thing, and he has a pretty eccentric delivery, a very low, deep voice that commands a lot of attention. But, you know, if you're looking for a trap record that's kind of reinventing the wheel or doing something all that different or refreshing, this is not it. This is not it at all. I do appreciate him keeping it concise and keeping it short, though. This is just like a 30-minute project or so. So, you know, it doesn't overstay its welcome or nothing. Definitely some things to like about this album. Production's pretty colorful, bangs a lot of the time, and cuts like Adora and also Bambi are really nice because they sort of bring together that new trap flavor production with sort of this old soul Motown style of singing and songwriting that I thought was a pretty cool collision of musical worlds for Jidenna. It's sort of a couple sounds that no other artists are bringing together, at least not in the way that he is on these tracks. But outside of that, much of the album just kind of struck me as being really average pop rap with a really obvious Kanye influence. And can we agree, worst chorus of the year right here. Worst chorus! Why is this real? Why is this real? Really? Crappy guitar songs? Crappy guitar songs? That's where we are right now? That's what we're doing? That's what we're doing now? And this album cover makes me sick. Oh, I was so excited to listen to this EP because I love Ariel Pink's music, and Weyes Blood's last record was a pretty good Baroque pop effort, but Their chemistry on this thing is about as awkward as a junior high slow dance, and pretty much every track after the first track is horrifically underwritten to the point where there's just nothing in terms of a compelling lead melody or hook or anything, and it's not just the chemistry, but even the vocal performances isolated outside of the idea of this collaborative EP sound really flat and lifeless for both of these artists, by both of their individual standards, judging by the music they've released thus far. So I don't know, man. This EP was really just like a big swing and a miss, in my opinion. If you're looking for a hip-hop record from the UK, this is not a bad album to try. The High Focus record label that dropped this project always puts out some quality stuff. You know, there's definitely like some quality standards that they expect every album to be reaching before they release something. So, you know, definitely one of the more consistent hip-hop labels out there, in my opinion. And it's so cool that they're from the UK and sort of putting a lot of that talent that's over there on a platform that would not have been there otherwise. That being said, you know, this is a pretty fun, quirky, tongue-in-cheek album with a lot of crude humor and funny, obscure, dorky references, but there was something about it that was just nagging me and nagging me and nagging me as I listened to it. And then finally, as maybe I was like 3/4 of the way through the album, it just hit me. So much of this album just reminds me of MF Doom, from the flows to the lyrical style, maybe not so much the instrumentals, as they are maybe a little grimier and a little eerier than you would usually catch on an MF Doom album, but not by much. You know, I mean, obviously the vocals are very different, these deep, shouty vocals with, you know, obviously a very thick English accent on them, but, you know, that MF Doom influence, it's so there, it's so on the sleeve, and, you know, it sort of bugged me after a while, or sort of made the album seem so much less novel or intriguing to me. But for people who don't really mind that, don't really mind hearing that influence so obviously in their hip-hop, check this thing out, because, you know, it's really not a bad listen. What is this? Is this like some spacey, lo-fi, homespun, very skeletal, like bland, trendy R&B, like alternative R&B? No, thank you. Not into it. There's a couple of good riffs on here. There are a couple of good riffs on this thing, but what's beyond me is how something that's brand new can sound so stale right out of the gate. As far as contemporary commercial R&B goes, this is not that bad. I mean, it lives up to the title, I think. A lot of very sexy and sweet moments on this record. It's very blissful. It's very easygoing. There are a lot of catchy spots. Admittedly, I'm not really that into Kehlani as a singer. I don't think she has a terrible voice. For sure, not a terrible voice, but she's not really like a stunner to me vocally. You know, there's not really much about her voice that stands out to me as memorable, and that is also kind of the case for a lot of these tracks, as they stick to a very clear formula a lot of the time. I mean, a lot of these tracks have very much the same vibe, the same tone, so even though you do have a few songs here and there that do stick out as great singles, in a way they do end up a little drowned out, standing shoulder to shoulder with all these other tracks that have an incredible likeness to them. But still, you know, if you're looking for some feel-good R&B to vibe to, this is not a bad release. Unfortunately, Droog and Wiki don't bring quite as much chemistry to the table as I hoped they would have on this EP. I mean, you know, some of the bars on this thing are pretty grimy, some of the beats on this thing are pretty grimy, but especially the last track, it seems like there's really nothing significant and exciting going on. The only track where I felt like they really melded and were making something truly unique to this collaboration was the song Vigilantes. That track is great. But pretty much every other song, it just kind of seems like, I don't know, of course they're performing on the same track, but it's kind of like they're just in the same room in a really somewhat standoffish way, and the collaboration doesn't really have that much kinetic energy going for it, you know? I mean, you know, sure, if I was looking for a reason to sleep. I can definitely see why people have been hyping this album up to me. I mean, this English rapper here seems like he has his shit together. It's a pretty well-groomed album, but his voice, his delivery just does nothing for me. It's so understated and it's so flat and emotionless. And I'm into alternative rap styles, but he's so quiet and he's so, I guess, I don't know, he's just so polite in his delivery that I almost struggle to just be listening in and just hear everything he's saying, because he's just a few shades above a whisper sometimes. Though, again, I do credit the very beautiful and very classy instrumentals all over this album, and the fact that many of the songs on this thing are very personal, and once you read into the lyrics, kind of touching. But I'm just not really a big fan of the sound of the delivery. But again, I see the hype, and you know, if you're into alternative rap and you're looking for an album that does take a more emotional tone, I would definitely recommend trying this out. I will give it to fans of this record that this is the boldest thing that Sid has been on ever. The production alone makes it that. It's really quirky, it's kind of clunky, it's got a good groove to it a lot of the time. It kind of has almost this Pharrell or Neptunes vibe to it, but it has that smoothness necessary for it to sort of be proper backing for a neo-soul album, an alternative R&B album, which this in fact is. But Sid, in my opinion, still leaves a lot to be desired vocally, even if the vocals are more up front and center than they typically are on an internet album. To me, listening to her singing is just like watching paint dry. There's nothing all that exciting or passionate about it. There's nothing about her voice that just pops off of the mix to me. She's just not a singer that I'm all that enthralled by. But if you like this record, you know, I understand it. You know, I definitely see the merit behind this album. It's definitely not as sloppy as the internet's albums tend to be. Way better produced, definitely slick, but it's really just not for me. I consider myself to be a casual fan of Hunt-Hendrix's work because I love Liturgy's music so much, at least some of their music, some of their back catalog. So I was curious to try out this little collaborative project over here with Mr. M. Lamar, and I don't know, like, it's unique, but it doesn't really strike me as being all that good. But, you know, maybe it's kind of a different strokes for different folk situation. You know, this thing, it has some really tense, fluttering piano arpeggios all over it, like really, really dramatic and theatrical. And then M. Lamar's vocals kind of top those with these really weird vocals that seem somewhat operatic, but he doesn't quite have the chops for opera, so it's kind of like this weird, amateurish, I don't know, version of an opera singer. I don't quite know how to explain it. It's weird. It is odd. I don't think I'm gonna return to it again, but it was a unique experience. It was a unique experience. I'm not going to tell you not to like this. I mean, I certainly see the merit in what the Menzingers are doing on this album, and I have enjoyed some of their music that's come out in the past. But this release just kind of struck me as being really kind of commonplace as far as pop punk standards go. Meh. If you've been following the channel, you know I like the music of the band Ought. So when the band's frontman Tim Darcy announced that he was going to come out with a full-length solo album, I was pretty excited. But I don't know, I was kind of disappointed to hear that his neurotic, weird, quirky singing style doesn't really translate to the whole singer-songwriter thing all that well. The tunes aren't really there either, I don't think. It was just a bit of a letdown, in my opinion. But, you know, hopefully Ought's next record is still hella good. This is such a weird follow-up to their last album. Like, prior to this, I may have not been a Japandroids fan, but at least I sort of saw why other people found the band exciting. You know, their youthful energy, their electrifying performances, their sort of punk edge. But now with this new record, they're just combining that sound, but they're softening it. They're sort of dulling the edge and fusing it with like this really tepid, boring heartland rock. I don't know why there are so many artists out there that want to sound like Bruce Springsteen now. I mean, Bruce Springsteen's great, but I don't know. I don't really see Bruce or sort of copying Bruce or borrowing from Bruce as being this thing that's going to pull rock out of the rut that it's kind of dug itself into in this decade. All I'm saying is I think we could do better. What am I listening to? I heard this just 5 minutes ago, and I cannot remember not a lick of it. Not a single second of it. I can't remember not a thing. It's the most by-the-numbers post-punk revivalism I've heard in a long time. How anybody could hype this, I have no idea. What is with the vocals on this thing? They are so nasal, and they are so lifeless, and they're so emotionally flat that it's like Surfer Blood doesn't even care if you can audibly hear that they're just phoning it in on this album. Oh, Zishin, have you given this series of albums a listen in this Yunoreview? If you have, what did you think? Did you love them? Hate them? Why? And all sorts of relevant links next to my head. Other videos, subscribe to the channel, official website. Make sure to eat your fruits and vegetables, drink lots of water, and I'll see you in the next video. Forever.